Masia miti kwanyeni timano Masisama bravo Oh Masia miti minyano Oh Wajimi abaniano Wajimi amba I feel ya see some say I'm abaniano Mrs. Sumi my peace what you know ye I'm a metier me I don't see the see that be who mirror see that be who mirror see that be who mirror Oh
Odi boy ni otisamia anka mi sami fatei mujaninti mi yodi sheyenne Oh amia keni binna mi so ewrade afere mi ahye hincha edi ebeina minye adiden fichira mabefi Oh asida ayeyi ni ntontom Hunyum na mentua me uradi waye bio Missy wadi boy ni otisami Anka mi semi fatei Mujaninti mi yodi shiyenne Oh Amia keni binna me so Uradi afere mi ahye hincha Edi ebeina minye Adiden fichira mabefi Oh asida ayeyi ni ntontom Munyum na mechua me uradi waye bio
Kaminam sana makuo Disa sani ya umia sheboni mkuwa sumani ya nume Kaminam sana makuo Disa sani ya umia sheboni mkuwa sumani ya nume Nadia unampena de mikro Onia mimpena miya Aba mi pemintu minya kuraniano Nadia unampena de mikro Onia mimpena miya Aba mi pemintu minya kurapapina Kasi se mishia majinkwa Nama jiniti diwa mami tumia mama nyamimba Si se mishia majinkwa Yesu Nama jiniti diwa mami tumia mama nyamimba Afedi opena manijinwo Na kwansu faya manijidia Konfum suwa moya marewa Afedi opena manijinwo Na kwansu faya manijidia Konfum suwa moya marewa Papa Missy wajimi Where I did Did you want to see the media Papa Missy Ona sumisu Ona sumisu Ona sumisu wati Ona sumisu wati Ona sumisu Papa Minyumya Missy Minyumya Missy Madan Sidiene, Una Sumisu, Jiwaran Siridi, Ajimpa Yesu Fisru Baya, Asama Bravo, Wajimia Figas Simtimakane, Asama Bravo, Asama Bravo, Asiamiti Christoni, Wajimi Yesu wajimi nkaniano Edam wakuna sama wakani Kofi papia chi Duya bi umire Piano Edam kofi na sama wakani Pasto poku wachisi Ajena sumisu Wawan chocha deti senyantia Wafungwe Nansu radia dumti Wasina dansi dienio Inyuni wati Koyo manfrani Koyo iraba Ama makina samania Wasio jena sunisu wati Wajena sunisu Wajena sunisu Yesu Ajimi Kavi a dream more than dear no so. Every dream more than dear no so many. Somewhere, I say, young one. Yes, so Chris, oh no, oh dear, no, so you see me, Munuri. Somewhere, I say, young one. Yes, so Chris, oh no, oh dear, no, so you see me, Munuri. See my two man tango, mini bifia, a yeman casamedia. See mini bifia, what tea, mini bifia, a yeman casamedia. Makuma botni, Makuma botni, Makuma botni. Wakuma bonia, wakuma fufutu.
Yo, Abisiafo, you better Nyamiasi, and then so was I the a chain. I'm saying now, what Jumedia yed in Yasam Kitwa. I will be our journey beer and until I insure. And tea. So when you only be a test and say on joining, and then so the a financial education, Scasem dear, also you can, and once a maiden. Ubodi no one chow no cry nedding, Viete, cash, goody, and no one some and in there, ye barbecue. Now, young chair hono, your best say, your mammy, Hilda, Upuni Mensa, say, oh, so no abo empire Eddie, any more am I. Mammy Hilda, but just oh, so. Can you pray for us?
So, Penny, Edda Fred Abaso, what near be dressing tonight.
Oh, you didn't hear me. Any other Fred, what about the animal man from our
Yo,
Bompay in the dear new May, Unu Tikamima, or Yerasha on Pabwama.
yo, Yanum, that the Miasmumia, Yamon Pie. Some Junior Coupon, yeah, that was it. And you may, I see it and counting. That was say, one hour tree education week out there, chair. Any addition out there, man, throughout this whole week. And then so, yeah, Baby Shin, dear. That was say, well, opening Dr. Quatey and so on, a chain. Yes, so I said, you may dear Baby Day, and then she one I be been no, Monte Wonka. That was yes, Christo Demonti. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Edda,
Ready, man, introduce it.
Maminja Moa.
Yo, ready, penny for first of all, the money I say, and you may now only a Becasano, a Yankasa, Yawafa, your papa, in ya, Dr. Matthew Quatey. Dr. Matthew, Michigan, or Andrews University, Barron Springs, Ohana, or Tier. Na Yanoma, Yenya Quine, and in the DM Como, a brand new Andrews, no. The financial teachings, no, it has had tremendous effect in our lives. Into a brand education week. I don't have anybody other than say, a friend, Dr. Quatey, na on about financial education, especially you school na say sabio yeska kakra na yehu yes be yehu ne pese be but we need to start planning for our future. And in tenure peninfo am was so na youth am was so no Dr. Matthew ana wani ebe kasa oni na yiri nyina wo Barron Springs, Michigan. Uncle, Madam Friend, Uncle Matt, called Barron Springs, and your friend, Dr. Quatey, you first know about youth education week. and yɛda wase so ɔde ɔse ayɛ ɔyɛ a ɛnɛ yi ɔne yɛn ɛba abɛkyɛ adesua nti saa mmere de megya ha ma wo and then we can continue from here.
Okay, well, yeah, that's it. Thank you very much. Now, Fred, put us also me send you a chat message about PowerPoint.
Okay.
I want to know if I wanted to share PowerPoint here. More WebEx, I'm not very familiar with it.
Where
you use PowerPoint during this program?
Doctor, very easy. Push your screen on my ASIO. We say share ASIO, baby. Camera no one. We just go to share. It's click on other applications. Automatically optimize. Click on drop down as well. No, I pick it optimize for motion and video. See, after that, you open source share no pick it. Then you click on share. You bring your screen. So.
Okay, now sir. Okay, we are trying to try. I am so try to be connected. Okay, Fred, for some reason, it seems to be taking a little bit of time to connect and submit me. I share.
Okay. Oh,
if I emailed it to you, well.
And then the send my bit to me. I share more.
To email, so we can. Okay. You've been sending it to me through WhatsApp. Right.
Yes, Doc.
Wait me in the chat area. What do you mean? I said we've been communicating with WhatsApp.
Yeah, I see that. I see the chat.
Yeah. I require we email address.
Let me see here. Email is, I'm sending it to you. Okay. Hopefully, one for a new back could be from my work. Then can I take PowerPoint in my studio?
Suri ni na beche mwako, asasi ni na beche mwako. Yamya senu die, erin sesa. Suri ni na beche mwako, asasi ni na beche mwako. Nyamia sem no dear, erin se sakra. Asem no, na wadi bo yase. Asem no, na wadi bo nipa. Asem no, wankuti na nye bibiara woyo ye. Asem no, emu nenkwa wo. Enkwe yi, enu ni nipa hai. Eha yisu, enu ni Jesus. Na manye bonye tiawo say me the wasma shama kumem na maso we ni daba abe asam neni abe me na se kania say asam neni abe me kwa so high amame ni dasu wasu ahimeni amame nyankwa enkwa eni yo Sosunya sasi chemu konase Trobentu medidia Eufoni na we prison Obe sorry Didi foni na Ona no bebo Oshim no beba Na ya kusha eradi Yebeko paradise Yebeko kodi erusi Unio, Yarenio, Hanio, Manio, Bium. Missy A. Dentina, there was a Macumemi, Yamia 70. A. Dentina, there was a Wacumemi, Yamia 70. Jericho Suro, Yanam Yamia 7. Jericho Ebno, Yanam Yamia 7. Coding, Frisa Yamia 7, Notiemu, Ekaemu, Yamia 7. And only Jesus, and only Jesus, Yesu Christo noa, Unyame banwa, Yesu Christo noa, Unyame bakuna.
You have to wait for it to load.
It's a very problem. Wow, was someone with email I can mention.
And that's what we are saying, right? It was a little. Right, it is loading to come to you. One second. Check it to see it's a Wazaka. That's what I'm trying to do.
Okay, do it so that you can see all the screens. I'm not sure.
Hold on a second.
How did you? This is it, I think.
Okay, you want us to go back to the sharing name.
Sure. Your screen or the application?
Okay, do you want?
That's one, but your email or what chatting so unya no ka bit ma forward ya by no so am ya.
And then my forward there, I'm afraid, I'm not sure, sir.
Is it connected again?
Yeah, and then I'm sending it by. In any case, Fred, if it is not showing up, I will do the presentation probably without it, and then it will be more interactive. If it shows up, if it doesn't show up, I think we still can make it more interactive.
Why bring this to money?
Mpanimfoɔ sɛ megye sɛ PowerPoint no koraa ma ya obetumi apresente ayi no na ayɛ yi nti sɛ yɛ ni mu time too much.
I just go ahead and present without. Now, how do I get
to turn on your video?
And that's how it matter no camera no na ka wa shall see my was I searching.
PowerPoint, right? Okay, good. That's a old one.
It doesn't really. Okay, Fred. Fred. Hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. For you guys can't see me at all, do you?
No, you've switched off your camera.
Because the camera is on and it keeps switching off by itself.
So just say start the video.
It just keeps.
You don't want to start video anymore.
Before we saw you.
Mm-hmm.
I think you have to log out and log in, and then you allow access to your account again.
Okay. I am terribly sorry for all this inconvenience, but I'm going to try to make this as interactive as possible. Okay. How many of us here have any type of investment in the stock market? Did you hear my question? Fred,
yes.
I'm just trying to figure out in the group, the people who are on, is there anybody who is in the stock market?
Yes.
By show of hands.
Okay. I am asking this question because I'm assuming that quite a few of us are young. I'm even including myself in it. One of the things about being young is that for some reason we think we will be young forever, right? And we don't really like planning for the future, something that we think is forever away. And this is the difficulty that we have when you are dealing with a group that is come from a different culture and has immersed itself into a different culture, like Ghanaians coming to a place like America. We have to start figuring out ways in which down the line, when all of a sudden we find ourselves to be in the 40s and then getting into the 50s, that we don't suddenly become surprised by what the future holds. biggest concern, and I've been doing this for quite a while for the church members, and it's to try and get us to be familiar with the things that are around us when it comes to investment. So because investment here, what I mean by that is putting a little bit of money down throughout your employment, whether you are employed as a teacher, as a military guy, whatever your employment situation is, to find a way to put a little bit of money down the line, which is going to be able to help you at a time when you are no longer in employment. Now, if you are working here in America, and this is, I'm going to tailor this completely to our American environment. Say, yes, a wa juma, that's a we juma ma obia. There are certain things that are to your advantage. Now, the problem is most of us, Ghanaians, we don't assess that. There are two key things that we need to be aware of in the workplace. So we'll start here, they give you something they call your benefits package. In the benefits package, there is always something there, part of it, they call it either 401k, or if you are in healthcare, it is 403b. Now, these 401 and 403b, it is just a way, the names that are given to the laws that were made. Now, so 1 year ma obi, and all you have is working for yourself, and so you have another avenue, and they call it IRA. Now, the government, is never going to give you anything for free, but this is the closest avenue for you to have something almost for free from the government. What do we mean by that? So this year, this particular year, 2003, the government says you can put up to about $23,000 from your earnings, and put it in some investment vehicles. Either say, every pay period, a certain amount to put there. And you can maximize that all the way to 23,000. Now, you should go immediately to 23,000. But the beauty of it is that any small amount you put there at the pay period, the government, and by this I mean IRS, pretends that you never earned that money. As a result, taxes here, you can then take that amount out of your earnings, which then brings down your the bulk of the money that you earned. So your taxes then become small. Now, why is that important? Because every pay period, pay stub. Very few of us study that pay stub very well. There are two things on the pay stub that are always going to be there. But federal income taxes. The other one is state taxes, unless you are in a state that doesn't take state taxes. But even those, you end up paying quite a bit through ordinary, every food item you buy or whatever it is, they are going to still tax you. But the federal taxes, is computed over the total amount of earnings. In the say a pay period, we get 1,500 there. they will tax you on that. But if you put something like 200 of that 2,500, into a 401k or a 403b or even an IRA, they subtract that amount from your income, which then makes your own taxes less. Then if you put that amount in the stock market, and I'll talk the difference between the stock market and the ordinary market in just a little bit. You put it there. For a young person, what is going to make you money is really not how much you put, how much you save every pay period. It is the time that you have. Time makes you more money than how much you will put there. The reason being is that every time you put this money there, it generates some interest. It could be a dividend interest, or it could be stock accumulation. But every time you put that money there, it starts working for you. Initially, you will not see how big it is. But if you do it for about 10 years, all of a sudden, you realize that those small monies now, maybe $50 every pay period, $100 every pay period. In about 5 years, all of a sudden, you realize, oh, I have $25,000 saved. Now, this $25,000, a lot of it would have come from monies that you would have given the government by way of taxes. So I want to emphasize this. Every time you don't take money and put in either your 401k, 403b, or IRA, you are allowing the government to pick your pocket. Okay. IRA is going to be for people who don't necessarily work for somebody and get a paycheck. You still, every pay period, can put money there. The difference is that with the IRA, you will be, the total amount you are allowed is going to be something like $7,000 versus the 401k being $23,000. But there are ways you can, at least if you are working for yourself, still save these type of situations. The important thing is that I want you to start thinking about personal investment by tying it to your work. If you are working, you should start making your own individual, building up your portfolio through work, because that is the best way. Every time you take money that you have already paid taxes on and use it as an investment vehicle, you are already behind. So you should always use pre-tax dollars first. Answer, you go somewhere else. Now, why am I emphasizing we need to go to the stock market? And at a later time, I can show you how to do that. It is not as complicated as some people make it. In the stock market, over any given time, either a 5-year period, a 10-year period, or even 25-year period, if you take all of these years, the average that you make on your investment is anywhere from 8 to 12%. Now, that is a huge number. Compare this with, say, what do we see go to bank? Now, one more amount interest. The best you can get these days is maybe about 2% if you put something there for a whole year. And what they do, the banks do is that they take your money that you have put there as a savings, and then take this same money and take it to Wall Street and invest. Then they make that 8 to 12% interest over the years, that they turn around and give you only 2%. And because you feel that, oh, this is safe, 2% is not going to cut it after about 25 years of work. And we have to start thinking, say, where these bankers are going to make money off of our money, is where we have to be. And the easiest way to do that is using your workplace possibilities, 401k, 403b, or IRA to do that for you. The stock market is about, again, I want to emphasize this, 8 to 12% on any given average. Some years, it could be like 25%. 2 years ago, it was 25%. Last year, the stock market lost about 20% on the average. This year, so far, it is up by 8%. I am talking about when you collapse all of this over time, it's anywhere from 8 to 12%. I'll give you my own personal history. When I started this and I got to know this, the first time I was able to see after about 5 years, all of a sudden I said, oh, I have a portfolio that is about 50,000. It isn't because I put 50,000 there. The total amount I had put there was about 20 or 22,000. All the rest was because of the dividends and the accrual of interest to that particular portfolio that may choose. Oh, so you have about $28,000 that you did not put there, but has come to you because over time, that is what happens in the stock market. And then once you go from 50,000, it takes a much shorter time to get to 100,000. And then it's even a shorter time to go from 100,000 to 150. If you just keep, all you have to do is keep putting your money there, whatever percentage you choose. Go as close as possible that you can to what the government is allowing you to put in. That is the only time the government is going to be kind to you in the US. And when we don't take advantage of this, we allow the banks to use our own money to make money for themselves and then give us something very, very small. If you don't want to, in the stock market, there are different kinds of what we call, you can buy different things. You can go and buy something like Coca-Cola. When my kids were very, very young, I wanted to introduce them into the stock market. So I asked them, what are the things that they like? My middle son was a Nike guy. Every time there was something new from Nike, that's why he will go and take a look at it and stuff like that. So I said, then why don't you buy a share in Nike? Back then, my daughter was into Toys R Us. So Barbie dolls and stuff like that, whatever the kid's interest is, you can buy a share in that company. And you'll be surprised about how cheap you can do that. You can do it for as cheap as $25. All you need to do is buy one share in a company, and then you are a part owner of that company. Whether it is McDonald's, whether it is Johnson & Johnson, whatever it is, all you need is buying one share. And there are easy ways of buying that one share. From then on, you can add to it. I don't like buying individual stocks as a beginner. Because an individual stock can go bust. Some of you are too young to have heard of a company being a friend, Enron. Enron went from being the king of the hill overnight to where it liquidated. You have to buy individual stocks when you understand the principle. So the best thing to do is buy what we call funds. a fund in the stock market, if I say what you are interested in is food, all the fast foods, you can buy a group of fast food funds, about 100 of them or 50 of them, but all you have to do is one share, and one share could be as less expensive as $50. Once you are in that, your chances of losing money is much, much diminished. So it's better to own a fund than to own an individual share. But if you want to introduce your child to the stock market, you let them own a tiny little bit of that company. In the stock market, there are 3 different classes of companies. When I started this, over 20 years ago, maybe 25 years ago, a company like, is there anybody here who has not heard of Apple? If you are using, I'm not talking about Apple as a fruit, I'm talking about Apple as a company. Most of us, either you are using the iPhone or you are using any of their computers, Apple was not always this big. It is the most profitable company on the whole universe. But there was one time they almost went bankrupt. At that time, Apple's share was $7. I had a few shares, like 16 shares. Then Microsoft aided Apple, and now the story, Apple has become the biggest and the most profitable company because it produces things that people like. Whether the iPhone or the Apple Watch or whatever it is, they produce things that people like. But it started as a very small company. And when a company is small, it is something that you can easily lose money from because they have not become well established. But they also have the biggest potential. So if you want to buy something for the long haul, if you are young, you buy shares in small cap, you call them small capitalization, small companies that are just coming up, like when Apple was just coming up then. But because you are young, over time, these small companies are going to be the big companies of the future. There are some companies that are very large, but we know they are not going anywhere. For example, McDonald's, because Americans and all of us like to eat, it is going to be very hard for McDonald's to go out of business. But it is so big that so many people own part of that share. So it is not going to be as profitable for you going forward as a small company will do. So you have to have all these classes, small, mid-sized, and large. And in Wall Street, if you are going to do the investment, they will show you all of these classes. The important thing is own all of them, but the younger you are, the more of the small companies and the mid-sized companies you should invest in as against the large one. We have the same scenario when we are talking about stocks. You have what they call the large stocks, mid-size stocks, and the large company stocks. Now, I am talking more about Wall Street because I know that we don't, we as Ghanaians, or for that matter, many Africans, are very skeptical of Wall Street, so we don't get in there. For younger people in the church who are getting, you are coming out of college and things like that, you have to start utilizing that potential, because in 10, 20, 25 years, when you are getting to be a little old with your own kids, you are going to be very surprised about what that has done for you compared to if you just had your money always in the bank. I just want to round up, and I would probably like for you to ask questions so that we can tailor your needs to what I'm trying to talk about. There are some of us who, for example, would rather buy a very flashy car, very, very nice car, the latest maybe a BMW or whatever it is, because we are young and getting a lot of money from work. The same person may still be renting a house instead of owning a house. These are all different types of modalities that makes you realize that you have to become a little savvy, because a new car can only take you from point A to point B, the same place that an old car can take you, but it doesn't help you do anything else. Whereas if you are putting part of that money into the stock market, that is going to make money for you over time by itself. I want to just pause here and see if anybody has a particular question about how either to get into the stock market or what interest you may have in it, because I may be just talking in a way that this is too generalized.
Okay.
Questions about yes.
Yeah, that's a part. Me Auntie Margaret Epiga Nensa. Auntie Maggie Pacho, which may be so.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you. Daddy Nyamisha, I have a couple of questions. So you made mention of not leaving everything in the 401k, which is good. But I mean, say, if your company is not matching you, must you continue to do the 401k or the 403b? That's my first question. And
Let
the
me
next
answer
question.
that first.
Okay.
Even if the company is not matching, by matching, almost all companies, you see, way back then, we used to have not this system of funding your future. They had a different system. Now, no, almost all companies in the US are trying to get you to invest for yourself for the future. So they will match a certain percentage. Say, if you, whatever money you put there, they will match up to 5% or 6%, which is free money. In other words, and if you put $10,000 a year into your 401k, they are going to match you, give you free $500. So if you don't want to do anything at all, at least put money up to the total amount that your company will, the company you are working with will match. But even if they don't match, remember what is going to make you money is time and the 8 to 12% that you are going to get over time. That is more important than whether or not they match. Because if you don't put that money, you are going to lose money in two ways. You are going to pay more taxes by not contributing that money. And secondly, you are going to lose the appreciation of that money if you don't put it somewhere in the stock market. So yes, Adimagi, you, whether they match or not, you should still be in the stock market. And your second question was?
Okay. So my question is, I know we have 3 ways of growing money in this country. We have the fixed, the variable, and the index way. So with the stock market, the first question is, do I pay taxes on the interest or I don't?
No, the stock market, the only time you pay interest, if you are a young person, remember the whole idea is not for you to go in there and then sell every time you make a little bit of money. This is meant to be money that you are accumulating for the time when you are no longer working. It is money that you want to make for the future. So unless you sell the stocks, you don't pay any taxes on it. Now, if you sell the stocks before you are age 59 and a half, and you may think that I will never get to 59 and a half, I'm too young. No, sooner or later you are going to creep up there in the age. But if you do that before you are age 59 and a half, then the government is going to say, okay, for a penalty, we wanted you to keep this money until a time when you are not working. Now you are digging into it, so we will charge you 10% penalty. And then you will pay another 20% for taxes. Remember, you didn't pay any taxes on the money you were putting there. If you kept all of that until you retire, which is like 65, and the actuary age is saying that young people like you are probably going to be living into your 90s. And there is nothing more pitiful than to see somebody 65 and 70 who has not made any provision at all for those other 25 years ahead of them. So don't worry about the taxes, because I'm hoping that you don't use your stock market portfolio as a piggy bank.
Okay. I remember when you were talking, you said last year the stock market went down by minus 20%, right?
Yes.
And you know that with the stock, the one that I know, you pay taxes on the interest because, like you said, it's tax deferred. And again, if you losing 20% and you paying management fee every year, and the market is not stable, it's not stable, it's variable. So with the stock, we cannot say it's going to give us this because it's not stable. When anything goes down, you lose, right? So
no.
If okay. Yeah, you lose.
No.
Like
okay.
last year, we lost by 20%.
No, you don't lose money in the stock market, remember, until you sell your stocks. So you will lose paper money or you gain paper money. The only time you gain or lose
if you sell
is when you sell. But what we are talking about is for you to keep money there for your retirement. So it is not meant for you to use it as a piggy bank. It is not meant for you to use the stock market as a speculative agent where you are going to be buying Bitcoins and stuff like that. No, we are talking about putting money there every pay period, little by little, and seeing it accumulate. Yes, last year the stock market was down by 20%. If you sold your shares at that time, which a lot of people do who just go by emotion, then you are going to lose money. But that's not how investment is. Investment is not speculation. You, regardless of what is going on, in fact, when the stock market goes down, for a young person, that is when you have to buy more. Why? Because you are buying it cheaper. Because over time, remember, year by year, when you do all the averages, whether it is 5 years, 10 years, or 15 years, or 25 years, you are going to get anywhere from a low of 8% to a high of 12% on the average every year. And I have done this with a lot of young people, both in the church and at work. And some people think that you are the next best thing since, we had sliced bread, because they've suddenly realized that this thing really works very well. And when you do that, you will be surprised about, let me tell you one thing about money. when money is sitting there in your savings account or your checking account, money has a way of wanting you to spend it. When you put money in the stock market for the future, because it is not readily available to you, you tend to keep it there. And when your friends ask for money that you don't have readily available, you tell them you don't have it. And truly, you don't have it because it is not readily available. But if that money is sitting in your checking account or in your savings account, you just go and pull it out. The stock market overall, I want to repeat this till my face goes black again. The stock market overall, year by year, if you average it, the ups and downs, you make 8 to 12%. That is what all the rich people do because they know that. You don't make that kind of money just putting your money in at the bank for a savings or any of the money market instruments. And they don't tell us about this enough. They want us to put our money there in the savings account so they can take it and invest in the stock market, make that 8 to 12%, and then give us 1 to 2% as interest. Let me clarify something about when I said last year was, it went down by 20%. That was last year. The year before, it was up by 25%. This year, we are almost at 8%. So if you average them, that is what we are talking about. As long as you are not selling anytime the stock market goes down. As
all right.
Head of the company called GE, General Electric. Okay, I'll give you a personal, General Electric is a bellwether company. It started having some issues and people just started selling those shares. And I thought about it and I said, no, General Electric is not going to go out of business. Why? Because they are into a lot of things. Boeing engines use General Electric technology and all of that. So a lot of other people like me started buying General Electric when it went down as low as $23. This is only about 5-6 years, just before COVID. General Electric became so cheap. I bought 5,000 shares when it was $23. And it even went further down to about $18. Do you know what General Electric price, the cost for General Electric today is? Go and take a look at the ticker. General Electric is over $100 a share. So the same shares that were, the same thing that was $23 5 years ago is $106 today. And if you are young and you put your money there and just forgot about the noise, that is what makes you money.
Yeah, Doc, that's it. I think I'm off with your questions. You know, so Yabama opening Asante, once you have a question, we are now Uncle also opening Ben, so Abba, Penny Asante.
As opening Medasi, Doc, wait a quick question. I think that most of the people, are more into investment, they know about all this IRA and buying stocks and stuff like that. But not long ago, I think 3-4 years ago, there are companies, insurance companies out there that have started advertising, say, instead of investing in the stock market and all that stuff, rather than invest in whole life insurance, where you get insurance and also it gives you a return. What is your advice on that? How do you see those things? Is it advisable to still keep the IRAs, the regular investment, and I say the insurance route is better because it gives you insurance and it gives you returns as well?
I'm going to be brutally honest with you, and I hope you don't take it wrongly. There are two types of insurance. One is called term life, and the other is whole life. Term life, by the way, what is insurance for? You insure yourself for the time when you are unable to take care of that particular responsibility, right? For example, so you're very young. They have not gotten out of elementary school or even college. You have to have insurance. To you. That insurance money then will come to make sure that are not going to be destitute. So what you need, remember, before you can take that money from insurance, you have to be dead, right?
No.
And you really, really don't want to go dying because of that money. But if you are tying it, since we don't know when anything can happen, an accident or whatever, the insurance to have is term life. And that term life, you can insure yourself up to a certain age, usually by about 60 and 65. If your kids are 30, you really don't need to have insurance in order for them to make money when you are dead. Instead, what you have to do, remember, where do you think the insurance people take the money you have given them to? They do exactly the same thing that the banks do. You give them this money, whether it is for whole life or term life, then they take it and go and invest it in the stock market. And then what they get out of the stock market is what they are counting on to give you at a certain point. Whole life is one of the most, they give you a very little amount of money. Whereas if you were putting that money in the stock market yourself, you wouldn't need to have that investment with them, because they are taking your money to the stock market, making money off of it, and then they are hoping that nothing will happen to you over that span of time. And the actuary numbers bear them out. They will, when they come to you, they will not even emphasize the need for term life. That is the one I will suggest that if you are young, you have. Because if you die, it will help with the family. Whole life is like you are using that good money to invest with the insurance company, who then goes and invests in the stock market, and you have funded the insurance company for something that you could have done for yourself. So I'm not a great fan of especially whole life. I had insurance when my kids were young. As soon as I turned a certain age and my kids weren't going to need it, or your house need to be paid for, you don't need it. Put that money every pay period that you are giving to the insurance company into the stock market yourself. Little by little, you'll be surprised about how that accumulates.
Okay. I think that, and then you're giving some yeah, maybe not all of us thought about it in the past. Opening other event, Mr. Abbott, Mr. Question, Mr. Sante will start as well. So, my name is your question and answer.
Yeah, doc, it has to be brave. Answer you brave. You should be brave. That's it. I'm sure. We'll have 3 questions. And you can answer you soon. You'll be in the more picture. So I will train. Now, my first comment on the stock market, fancy be over $1,000 at the stock market. You have shares in Apple. That's the Apple shares fall by 50%, right? and then they rise again by 50%, do you still have $1,000? Because when you have $1,000 at the stock market, right? Maybe you have Apple shares. That's a fall by 50%, and your money is now $500, right? When it rises again, your final money will come to 750 because you don't have 1,000, even when the market falls and rises again. And two, on the issue about insurance.
Settle the misconception about the first one and the first.
Okay.
In the stock market, I want to emphasize, the only time you lose or gain money is when you sell. So if you are going to sell something, you have to ask yourself, am I just following the herd and selling because for emotional reason? So what TBB about the company now? Then people rush to sell. So people who don't understand what is going on, they also go to sell. The only time you lose money or you gain money is when you sell. There is something known as speculation. There are people who only speculate. That is not what we are talking about. I'm talking about investment. Investment, what makes you money is time. So you put the money there, and you don't even have to buy individual companies. It is, you buy a group of funds. If you want, say, the technology sector, all these big names, Google, something like Apple, Facebook, buy all of those as a sector. When you do that, whatever variations are going on will cancel itself out. And give yourself the chance. Do not invest for 1 year and sell. That is not investment, that is speculation. Give yourself at least 5 years. And if you give yourself that 5 years, the numbers, the studies that have been done will tell you that over that 5 year span, you are going to make money on the average of at least about 8%. The rich people who keep going there, they are not doing this as an altruistic aid. They are doing this because they know this works. But they are not in a hurry all the time to go and sell. In the example now with the mine, is based on people going in and out of the stock market. That's not what I'm talking about.
Okay, yeah, thank you so much.
I'm talking about we trying to learn how to invest for the long haul.
Okay, yeah, thank you so much. So, in a gist, you have to have a long time period before you can make some gains. But it is a factual say. COVID by the market fell so heavily, and people lost money. We can't deny that.
People who lost money during COVID is because they did what? They sold. During COVID, some of us just, because we are used to this, people do things out of emotion as a herd mentality. But the enemy said, sooner or later, people are going, what am I going to do with the money? Where am I going to take it? Put it under my pillow? So people who sold things early on lost. Between when COVID started and when COVID ended, me Ankasa as a personal investor, I think I probably made over 300,000 during that period for doing nothing. I didn't change anything. Later on, we can tell you about how to rebalance your portfolio. I didn't change anything whatsoever, but I didn't sell. Don't think of the stock market as a place you go in and out. Day traders, no, we are not talking about that. I want you to take the long-term perspective, because some of your young people are, time is what will make you money.
All right, thank you. Okay, on the issue about insurance, I'm saying Openi Asante raising a very powerful question. There were 3 types of insurance. Actually, even more. There were term life, there were whole life, there were index universal life. Index, a combination of whole life. What is good at whole life? What is good at mutual life? They combine the two. Now we have index universal life. And no, it has living benefits. You don't die before you make gains from your index universal life. Even with a whole life, you can build some cash value. You can take it from your investment. And insurance is not only for death. So what the right one now, index brings you living benefits, which means because your money grows compound interest. You can get terminal illness rider. You can get chronic illness rider and critical illness rider. So if you have the right type of insurance now, it is not just for death. You can get benefits whilst you are alive. And the right ones, you can take money from it. You can withdraw from it. You can also take loans from that you don't have to even pay. And the insurance is not just for death. It doesn't make it a correction. So
Okay, maybe opening.
Yeah, maybe the right one now. No, I'm not challenging you. We are all learning. Even you share there. So the right one, you don't have to die before you get the benefits.
I didn't mean for it to come across that you always have to die. But insurance, and if you go to the history of insurance, you are insuring against eventualities. That is the genesis of insurance. We now have situations where they are trying to combine insurance with other things. For example, if you do a term life and you are, say, 35 years old, and you do a term life for 20 years, you can have something like $500,000 for the term life over a 20-year period, for as little as maybe $800 for the whole term. Whereas if you included a whole life benefit where you can borrow from it and those type of things, the same amount that you are paying, the most you can get is $50,000. You have to look at the variation, the variables, because what they are doing, they are counting on you not accessing that money. That's why they can give you so much for term life. But whole life and all these other indexes, remember, the insurance is not something that they are sitting there and making money. They use that money that you have put in there with them. They take that money somewhere, and what I'm trying to get you to do is instead of they becoming the middleman, you go to the same place that they are going. And you'll be surprised to say, over a 10-year period, the amount of money you will get from the stock market, putting the same amount of money that you are buying your insurance with, will be more than they will give you over that same period. In the main cassette, you have to die before. All I'm saying is insurance, unless you are, when you are at a certain age, the best type of insurance you can have, because it is cheap and it gives you more, is term life. All the others, they are using insurance as a vehicle, like the stock market. And if you are going to do that, may advise and say, go to the stock market yourself. It is so much easier to do it. You can then accumulate that money without the insurance brokers becoming the middleman. And if I give the impression that you have to die before, that was the origin of the stock market, of insurance. These other versions in India are trying to piggyback off of the stock market, because they all take the money you give them somewhere to make money. That is what I'm trying to get for you, and trying to let you know that you can cut the middleman out and be able to accumulate that money by yourself. There is nothing so difficult about it.
Okay, that's I think the emphasis is on long-term longevity, long-term investment, especially youth now. We still consider ourselves youth, young retirement. And still, long-term is the way to invest. Unfortunately, I think as Ghanaians, the idea of long-term investment is not something that is ingrained in our DNA.
I think opinion, that is the thing that if you don't get anything from this, I want to let you realize that long term, we use the term long, and sometimes it just frightens us. Why do I want to wait? You are going to get there. The actuary numbers now are telling us that if you are a young person and you live to be 30, chances are you are going to be about 60 at the very least. Gone are the days here, your life expectancy was 46 years. Says who don't expect your life expectancy to be anywhere less than, if you are a man, less than 65 on the average. If you are a woman, about 72, you have to be planning for those years. And it is a lot easier if you invest, is what I'm trying to say. Because if you put all your money in an interest-bearing something in the bank, it's not going to accumulate money for you the way putting your money in the stock market could.
Okay, that's it. Opinion, the floor is yours.
I think that an addition is very, very good, educative. But at the end of the day, it all depends on said your own test here is the effort. Usually in the Panana, we tend to take the path of least resistance, right? You throw investment so much. Until when we hear an alternate, yeah, you want to say a year easier, we tend to gravitate towards that. Me the Dr. Quatey the example no me fair no the example say ebia wo whole life na 500,000 we be ebia be example minim do mu de because I don't have that. I was looking into it. You have so whole life here $500,000 we be ebia $200 a month, right? But a term life na 500 now a good company, both of them good companies are term life you probably going to pay like $50-$40, right? Because more term life, I can speak to that, which is cheaper. And if you're going to be able to afford that much every month for an insurance, why don't you put it in BBA, ABI, and also every more similar returns? But at the end of the day, what you want, ABI will open more insurance more than stock market, because you want somebody to just do it for you. And it comes at a cost, right? So from what I know, insurance need there, and I can be wrong. Insurance need there, usually the first year, most of Canada more money goes to almost upkeep and then almost management. And most of that money interest in goes to majority of them goes to them. Maybe I don't 2-3 years and so you start accumulating Sikana. Maybe a person or accumulating. And the other day, me want to say it's more of what you want and what you're looking for as an investor and as a person, right? There may be no wrong or there may be no right, but it's up to you what you want. Now, I mean, beside Dr. Quatey said, say you are the same with say or engaging personally on a personal basis, not watching how to do things. Is that option available for Omomola Yusiana?
Oh yes, I mean I've done this for I can't and there are people that I've worked with and I don't charge a cent. Opinion will tell you. I just learned this in a way that I taught and to a person, and unfortunately, the people that have worked it, especially the young people in the church, the ladies tend to be more able to stick with it than the men. I don't know why, but the ladies will stick with it, and some of them will write to me and, oh, I was able to buy my first house because we did X, Y, and Z. Whereas the men, say, bibi kakre bi about who friend no be say how things are going now. On pick your phone because after only about 3 years. We are emphasizing you doing something for the long haul. And if you are really interested in that, I could, and I don't get a cent from you. I just show you what you can do. There is no magic to it. It is very simple. You can do it with very minimal money. But one moment, before, especially those of us from we become so afraid of this that we never get into it. There is no fear factor. If you can spare something like $20 even a month, I can show you companies that you can buy a share with that amount. And as you start doing it, there is something almost magical about it. You start learning how to use money, because you start accumulating money, and then you start wondering, okay, 5 years ago, I didn't have $10,000 in my account. Says here, I have $40,000 in my account. So something is working right. Then they start finding ways to save money in order to invest more. Young people, your kids are going to become a huge factor, and you have to start preparing for that. You don't start preparing for that by putting all your money in a savings account. If you can get in touch with Fred, and Fred can, I will be very glad to help you. I mean, I've helped so many people that, and I don't do this as a business. So I'm not going to engage you. I'll just point you to where you have to go in the same stock market, whether it is Vanguard, if you want your broker to be, whoever your broker is, just show you the type of investment you have to do for the long haul. Now, Mr. Rawa, if you are thinking of something in and out in a year, no, don't contact me, because that's not where my interest is.
All right. Dr. Quatey, that's surprising. I think so maybe
Fred, you're breaking up.
But yeah, internet, just so you all know, I'm talking from Congo right now, and it's 3 a.m. as we speak right now. The internet, for some reason, is not stable.
Look, Fred, Eleni.
Yes.
I wanted us to be able to just give them a brief history of how we started investment, and it was all through Dr. Quatey when we were in Barron Springs in the 90s, making $7 an hour, where we were both students.
Correct.
Just ahead, I said all I need to change at a fair denti. So with me, the mess not be at a fair every up kind of people were still here.
Yeah. So basically, that during that time we were both students. We were making literally like $7 an hour. As you can, that was not much of anything. To be basement. Now, we were interacting with Dr. Quatey, and we saw how he was investing, and then we asked him. We went to him and said, please show us what you're doing. And in order for us to also be on the path to understanding investment and how we can get started. And he went through all the different options and explained how it all works and so on and so forth. So during that time, we were not making much money. So he just said, start investing just a little bit every paycheck. And we started with, $20 a paycheck. So we would start putting away $20 in I think that time it was called Lincoln. Um, and every, and we did automatic debit, $20. We weren't making much of anything. And we always go to him for counsel. Let me just say that was like in the 90s. When it got to, we finally moved to Virginia. That is the money that we were able to accumulate in order to put our down payment on our first house. That time we were in our late 20s. Those little investments, you don't have to invest much, just a little bit that you can afford. As time goes on, when your income or your income that you're making grows, then you start increasing it. But you always have to have a view for the long term. At that phase in our life, we're like, we also need to invest in real estate. So that also helped us, gave us that leverage or that stepping stone in order to purchase our first home. Into some of these things that we're listening to, we should really pay attention to it and try and implement it. You don't have to make a whole lot of money. Just putting aside a little bit every paycheck. And as you go through the different phases in your life, then you start increasing the amount you invest, start trying to diversify. You get a diversified portfolio and continue to try to continuously educate yourself. There's so many vehicles you use out there for investment. Some may be better than others, but you have to really truly. We've done all of them. If Fred will also uh, can attest to this, we've whole life, term life, cash value, universal, and we've seen the ins and out of how all of those things work. But now we're getting to the phase where we're getting older. So now, you become more conservative with your investment. But the key thing is to start early. Starting early is what is very important. And take these talks and things very seriously. That's all I have.
Well said, my dear.
Anyway, but I mean, let's make to us soon. Just like Hilda is saying, don't you and let me restate the Jamaican earlier. What makes money for you in the stock market is not the money you put in. It is time. And indeed, I like working with young people because they have time. What time was $20 and $30, a share of something. In 15 years, you go from an apple, which was $17 during my time, to multiples of hundreds. If you owned Apple, like the 17 shares that I had in the 90s, that would be over almost from what people have done. Only 17 shares could be almost getting to $1 million over a span of 30 years. It is not how much money you are putting in, but consistently putting in a little at a time, as long as you have, you are young. Keep doing it. Some of the Nigerian friends are hospitalists. They are doctors making quite a bit of money, but a lot of them had no idea what to do until I sat them down. These days, they think I walk on water because very quickly, over a short period of time, they have realized how to do this and do it well. And that is my only plea to you. You are young, you have to be on the right footing early. And China, when you become in your 40s and 50s, you can never make up for what you could have done when you were in your 20s.
In fact, the goal of First Nova Church, especially our youth, and it's at the 20s and 30s, school. And so we want them to consider investing seriously. Senabaya, Umudu in their 60s, they don't have to worry about money. And especially right now, some of them are coming out with good income because of the course of or college in Italy. This is a perfect opportunity. Now, you say, you may money in it here, but they are putting their money into cars and depreciable. And the goal of this is youth that have come out of school, they should invest and start thinking about their future right now. Doc, my name is Obu. A question you will be there. My name is Obu. A question you will be there. Anya Sadia, and Obia, Ope, so we'll get in touch with Dr. Quatey. I'll be more than happy to. Patrick, go ahead.
Okay. Investment na mukano. Say no. When you're above 50 now, you won't mean you be and I say still hope.
Oh, there is always hope. But so when you're younger, by the time I will be say in your 60s, I don't know, then you will be not worried about money for future. You will be thinking about actually being altruistic, using so much money while accumulating to do good. Now, say if you are in your 50s, that's a one save, 1 year any investment. That's a CIM over 20,000. That is not going to necessarily make you rich overnight, but you still can start somewhere. Anybody at all can start in the stock market at any given time. You will still do much better, no matter what the age is, on a year-by-year basis, in the stock market than you will do putting your money in the bank. And if you have a question.
Masim Bisane say, Mr. Me, one of those people that me feel bank is safer. And that listening to you, I know say it's very convincing. Now me throw risk taking. Me fear no. Because the now better stock markets, okay, we are tiaba for more now usika swati. We are to so now there's a unsunu gem. And yet the bank on a many mudia minim says sonte. How do you convince a person like me say to take this risk, knowing say Wall Street crashing one year, my money it's gone in the amount saving in it's almost gone. How do you convince me say this is a good investment for me?
The word you use in it is there is something known as risk versus rewards in the stock market. In the stock market, you can tailor your investment to your level of risk tolerance. So when you're young, very young, because you have so many years ahead of you, you can choose to be riskier by just investing something like 60% of your portfolio in small caps or small companies. But once you are in your 50s, because of fear near identity, it will be better to invest in the bigger companies, the bigger and more established companies, because those are not going to give you as much reward. So because your whole taking is that I want to conserve what I have, but I still want you to do better than in the bank. So you invest in what we call large caps, large capitalization companies. Whereas the younger people they have time, and so they can tolerate the risk, and therefore can be in the small caps. And yes, you can do very well regardless of your age. And the interesting thing is, as you keep seeing your money grow, then your level of tolerance for risks increases. So you will no longer be as fearful over time. Because in the stock market, the reason people keep going back there is that it is a much better place to put your money than anywhere else. That's why even the bankers go there. And I'm trying to get us to capitalize on the fact that we don't have to let other people use our money and then give us pittance off of it. We start little by little. We can start just using $20 a month. And then you can go to $50 once you get your first 10,000, and it will be you will be very surprised about how quickly that happens. In Quada, I started them, I think I said something about that. My middle child, what do we call them? Intel Yejumanu. He started by just a company that he was interested in, Nike. And once he got interested in that, even though I, as an adult, will not like too many individual stocks, that is what he was interested in. Now, the portfolio, even though he's just in his mid-20s, is such that there is no way at his age, that I have 1/10 of what he has. It doesn't mean that he has put all his money there. It just means that he started early and became very consistent. And now he knows that it is so good that he put more money there than he will use with other junk stuff. Anybody at any age can be in the stock market, and we can tailor your investment to your level of risk tolerance.
Yeah. Yo, Doctor. Doctor. Question person Bustan say, as parents, who can say me, what can we also do for Yama Omunyanko College? Omusa. What can we do for them to start investment for them earlier? Senabaya, women, Edu, certain age, they can continue from there and a year from there.
There are two ways. One way is to prepare your Wako crowd towards IBIA in the future by you doing the investment for them. We call that 529. We are parent, you can put money in the stock market on behalf of your child, or that you are preparing them to go to college with. But Akwadano Ankasa, one of the things I did with my kids, and I can only use my own example. And then they said, Nkwadano womo di womo birthday na womo nya sika kakra. We divide it into 3, and then we put 1/3 of that into their portfolio, whatever it is that they have. So at a very young age, Ukacha Akwadano say, when we say company or say McDonald's or whatever it is, you own part of it. And really and truly, you own part of it by buying a share. And once the kids started learning that, they became very proud. Or to me, call school and I'll say, hey, I am a part owner of this company. It doesn't matter, say, I only share here too. And other people have millions of shares, but you are a part owner. Every year when they are doing the company, they will send you invitation to come to the meetings near there. It instills in Akwadano a sense to be said, this is doable. Don't let them just spend all their birthday money on buying clothes. Start them by letting them use that birthday money, part of it. And there are companies to tell, dollar cost averaging. You can help those Nkwadano to see their money growing. And then all of a sudden they are in high school and they are able to boast with their friends that, yes, I have a portfolio. By the time they get into college, And these are things we as adults or young adults have to start it so that we will be able to carry this on with our kids. And then when you are getting to be as old as I am, you realize that now your problem will become how to deal with the money that you have accumulated. Unfortunately, most of us, when you are into this type of thing, it doesn't make you like spending money because you know that money you are spending, is a cost for something. Economics, one of the things they used to drill in our hearts and minds is that there is always a cost, opportunity cost. Whatever you are spending here could have been used for something else. We can start letting our kids into this, and you will be so very happy that if you have anything to teach them, to let them know how to use money properly. And the stock market is one of the best ways because it instills in our kids a sense, if you say, they are not afraid of that place that they think it's only white people or rich people that should be there. No, we all can be there, and I can testify to that to you.
Amen. 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 My name is Obu.
And I've read me Pacho. Me question ketu ebi am person.
Pacho Busa.
Yo. Doctor me Pacho. Me bisa bibia fa insurance no say na wo chire mu say enye say wa wunku. Na me pese me bisa say condition by situation by e na ma wo kwan e ma wo utimi fa bi ana so say it depend on the company no policies.
Near insurance, say the two key insurance policies now, the two key ones are term life and whole life. Then the whole life derivative, they have so many other instruments that have been attached to it, from indexing on all of that. The difference between term life and then they say, and whole life, and then they say, if you have term life, you insure yourself up to a certain time. During that time period, for example, we were insured with term life, and we timed it to when the kids will be out of college. After that, I don't need insurance for anything because I will have to die if I'm using term life for the kids to make it. With term life, it is cheaper and it does what you need. Se bibi kosia ubetumi ama wenye sika ama nkwadano anasa uyire anasa ukunu can carry on without you. Whole life, and you are doing the insurance throughout your life, but the amount of money you have to pay to get a certain, if something happens to you during the term when you are insured, it will be like 1:10. When you can pay the same amount and get 500,000 when something happens to you versus about 100 or sometimes even 50. But then they add other instruments. They say, oh, you can even take some of this money as part of the either index but that is all almost like going to the stock market and using that money to index it for you. And I'm saying you can do better than doing indexing with insurance. The money you are going to spend extra for whole life, for whole life, just do the term life and use the extra money that you would have paid the insurance company to give you that little when something happens to you, in the stock market yourself. If the difference between the two is about $40, put that $40 every month by yourself in the stock market. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying insurance is not good. It is good, but know what you are picking.
The name's Martins. No, I cannot put him in. Why are you okay with that?
Pacho ane nchimuna no de amanunti.
Okay.
Me pacho, me was sending this time pacho waiting me this.
Pacho bisa.
Me pacho, me send this and say, ubie account and I say we insurance and I say 401k. We work app bi a wotumi bie create account ama wotumi check say me was saying metumi agye loan say but we no me need access bi a metumi akɔ account ni mu me de na makɔ account ni mu
What kind of stock market? And I said,
insurance we are.
Oh, insurance. Every company has its own. If you are doing whole life, and I index now, you can still see your account depending on the app they are using. Because what they are trying to do is combine the insurance, the emphasis with life insurance, with a vehicle for saving money. And it boils down to like a money market thing. It is, you are trying to save and then you borrow from it. Well, I would rather borrow from myself. For example, if you are putting money in your account, 401k or 403b, or you can borrow money and pay the interest yourself. Instead of from someone.
Is there any way I may be up no my phone so I check my balance, I check it say me will say what my account in the mobile say na some person me low and I say na meet me agia kodo. In fact, or meet me a create account or my phone so it say bank mobile account.
In the stock market, yes. In the insurance, it depends on the company and what they are offering you. But in the stock market, you have access. You can see if you want to look at it every 2 minutes, you can do that, even though I don't advise. Me, I have done this for a long time. I only pay attention to it every about 6 months when I have to rebalance. Because if you are not careful, you become so addicted to it. It is a insurance now, Canada. It is company specific and the type of insurance you are dealing with.
Hello, Pacho, make me insurance now.
Wait, you are not dealing with insurance per se. But Doc, I think the issue of insurance is coming up as Ghanaians, the issue of funeral rights money at the other. So
I understand that perfectly because I didn't want to say it, but that is what really is going on. Ghanaians, somehow we are so worried, say, if something happens to us now, who is going to be doing what? And that is a good worry to have. My concern is we are allowing the insurance business to control that instead of because if you go and buy insurance, you are still paying money to the insurance company. It is a question of where are you putting that money? I am going to advise, say, if you need insurance, do term life. Everything extra that will go into whole life, put it in the stock market. It will make more money for you than the whole life portion can give you because they take your money and go to the same place that they are not advising you to go. Yes, if you are young and all that, do term life. It is very, very inexpensive. It is very cheap for a bigger reward. The only thing is that in order to get that reward, you have to die first for term life.
Yeah, Doc, but the funny thing about term life insurance, at the age of 25, the maximum they will go is maybe 25 years, 30 years. When you could do 50 years, what's the pair? Then you are thinking, oh, because at the age of 25, where your premium is low. When you go hit 50 now, then you want to also do another term. I'll cost another 15 years. Then where you know, I increase it on but and then what my yes.
But can I give you an example of what I did? Because I can only give you my example based on a lot of the cities that I have done.
You can stagger it.
So we are young, say in your 30, when the kids are just here near Adinoa, you can get up to about 30 years, but most of them will be about a maximum of 25 years. And that will take you to maybe year 55 or 56. Okay. So you do that, get to 55, because the kids are going to be in their 20s. But in the intervening years, during the next 25 years, that extra money you would have put for whole life, is what I'm saying. If that extra money is $40 between the two, use that $40 religiously every month or whatever in the stock market and keep it. By the time you turn 55, when you no longer have term life, the money you would have accumulated from those 25 years of putting $40 there will surprise you. It will be a lot more than the term life would give you at that age. So I'm not saying use your money, put it in the right place by yourself, but get your term life because it is inexpensive. And you get it during the time when the kids are very, very young, but by the time you are in 55, hopefully your kids are out of high school and they are in college. But you would have a lot more money from the stock market based on the $40 that you kept putting down every month.
Some of this information we deal with way earlier. This trying to be Mama. Okay, Obi, any question? Be Obi, dear. Mame Margaret. I'm so bad last point.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Dr. Yamisha. Oh, sorry.
Oh, Mr. Obi. Auntie Susie, Patrick Branson, and my job by Mr. Why? Auntie Susie, Patrick Branson.
Anyway, say, I can put beneficial out to investments too, because sometimes say every 2 hours they will know say maybe mommy or daddy have this money in this stock market which they can go and claim and
Oh yes, in fact they all want you to have, and it can be levels of beneficiaries. If you are obey to me say no both me were mutual beneficiaries. Then as the kids started getting older, we gave different percentages should something happen to us. This percentage of that portfolio. Now the other one, yes, they will give you the option to do that.
Auntie Susie, Patrick. Wonderful. Auntie Maggie, Patrick, waiting the question about.
Yeah, mini question, contribution. I'm person me the come. Dr. Yamisha, but me person me emphasize BB what I say. So we don't have only term and whole life. We only have 4 types of life insurance. The group 1, the one that we get from our job, the term life, the whole life, and the index universal life. So the meaning of life insurance is supposed to help you save whilst you're alive and then protect and replace your income in events that you're unable to work. So if you have any insurance that pays only when you die, then that is a death insurance. That is the clarification that I want to make here. And like we say you don't put all your eggs in one basket. No. The only thing I can say, as we are moving forward, no, we can look at all these things and then see how best we can help ourselves. Thank you.
Until I get that's opening Asante, MT, we can bring it to a close round. Doc, on behalf of First Nova Youth Department and on behalf of the Nova Church, maybe say that was a year Senior Mayede 1994, actually 96, and I got in touch. You've been a mentor to me and also to the family, and I want to say thank you. And then you